If you've read the title and seen other videos on this topic, then I guess this is the point that I'm supposed to tell you, that you actually need to sign an NNN agreement in both Chinese and English, not an NDA. NNN standing for non-use, non-disclosure, and non-circumvention. And then you go on ChatGPT or find a template, write it up, send it over to the supplier, get it signed, and then you act like your job's done in terms of IP protection. Do you really think if a supplier has stolen your product, they're going to be worried about a piece of paper from a foreign company that's not even registered in the same country? And if you were to try and take this to the Chinese courts to try and get it implemented, waste a bunch of money, you really think a Chinese court will side with a foreign company over a Chinese one? It ain't gonna happen. You can look online, it's hard to find any real evidence if anyone actually successfully done this. To be honest, the days of factories ripping off your product and reselling it themselves, they're mostly dead. Why would they bother to set up an entire project when most factories, they don't understand e-commerce anyway, they're just manufacturers, and they have you for that at the end of the day. Their customer, handling all of their sales, and your success is their success after all. It's mostly your competitors that you have to worry about at the end of the day, those which may or may not be Chinese. People that, they've seen your brand online, see you doing well, so they went ahead, built something similar, maybe even exactly the same, and probably manufactured it at a different factory completely. For this kind of situation, it's actually going to be easier to sue the importer rather than the Chinese entity. So, I'm going to tell you exactly how many entrepreneurs in China protect their IP properly, and to put it simply, it starts with having a Chinese company, specifically one that has the name of a Chinese person on it, not their own. To do that, people will A, get married to a Chinese person, not recommended by the way. China's definitely not the place to be a passport bro, but if you come here and find your king or queen, then more power to you. B, they will then register a company in mainland China under their spouse's name, not under their own name. C, then they will separately and finally register a company in Hong Kong, but under their own name instead. Basically, from then on, all of their deals and sales contracts with Chinese factories go through that Chinese company with a Chinese name on the books. And in the case of a legal dispute where lawyers have to get involved, both companies, they're going to be on a level playing field, especially since it's a dispute between two Chinese people. Now, you can register your own company in China in your own name, and some people, particularly those companies that actually help people register businesses in China, they might try and tell you that you get a fair shake in a legal dispute. Like, no, have some common sense, and don't at me in the comments for giving so-called legal advice. But there's a reason why people have struggled for decades now to litigate in these Chinese courts over IP disputes. China, if you look online, you're going to see how much it's modernized, but you need to realize they're always going to go in favor of their own people. That's where your Chinese partner comes in. Now, this Chinese company that's been registered, it's not going to have any serious capital running through it. It's basically going to be used to pay suppliers, pay some basic tax, and of course, sales contracts between you and factories. It's basically just going to be used and kept at that absolute minimum to keep it running. The real money in business actually flows through Hong Kong. Why? Several reasons. Less taxes being paid there. Well, you're still also technically going to be in China. The corporate tax there is way lower than the mainland. Specifically, it's 8.25% corporate tax on your first 2 million Hong Kong dollars, which is about $250,000. Plus, you have way more flexibility with your money. You're able to send it around the world much easier than it just sitting in mainland China. Also, it's easier for you to receive money from abroad, and at the same time, you can pay the mainland Chinese suppliers from Hong Kong. All of these things, they're going to be a lot more difficult from your entity that's based entirely in mainland China. Now, obviously, it's not the only way to protect yourself in China, nor is it real strict legal advice. I'm not saying that you should do this, I'm just telling you how many people here do it. It's a really common business structure that people have been using here for decades now. Of course, there are also other advantages attached to this method, but I'm not going to spill all the beans in this video. Actually, this is a strong advantage for going through a trading company for your order. In China, it's a little bit underrated, when it comes to trading companies. I only hear really people saying, oh, trading companies are bad, go factory direct. But actually, these companies, they're going to be set up way better than you are already just to protect yourself if something went wrong. Sure, they're going to take a cut in the middle, but they're probably going to do a lot of work for you in exchange for a profit margin on top of the manufacturing costs. And at the same time, I'm going to give you more leverage with these factories. I would personally recommend working with one in a situation where you may be worried about your IP, or otherwise, you can pay a Chinese lawyer, preferably one that's actually local to your factory, to represent you and your product in China, and then they can handle all of your legal agreements properly. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you do have any questions about what I talked about, or you are looking to take your own brand to market, drop me an email, drop me a message on Instagram, let's talk, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and check this video here where I explain about how so much the advice about doing business in China is actually kind of outdated. Right now I'm just trying to put as much information out there about sourcing and doing business in China that I have, and it's kind of topics that I haven't seen, like including this one. I've never seen anyone talk about this, but to me, I see it, every day. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm out.